Hello, this is Aaron Maller from Parallax, and this is just a quick video to go over what happens if we do use Dynamo to automate numbering all the parking stalls, because it is very fast. So here we've got a file set up, and these are of course done using the parking row, and we have some spaces that are the individual accessibles, some that are doubles. You'll see that we have some that are smaller rows, some that are longer rows, and so on. And then if we go back to a plan where we've also dropped in some tags, and in this case, it's just a generic model tag reading the mark value. I made it just for this demo. But of course, all the parking spots are currently not numbered. I've also made a duplicate parking schedule just so that we can see the individual ones. And of course, that's just an itemized copy of the normal parking schedule that reads the counts and the types. So if we go back to the floor plan and we want to tell Dynamo that we want it to tag all of these spaces, briefly what that looks like, it's a fairly short Dynamo graph. All we have to do is we start out by saying collect everything that's a generic model, because as you know, the parking spots are generic models. And then we get their element type so that we can get their family name, and we go looking for the word parking in the family name. Then we filter down to only the things that say parking in the name. Then we have to do two additional filters. The parent row component we don't want in the list. So here we search for the word row in the name, and we say remove those. That's why we're using the out node here. Then we say let's also look for the word striping, because the stripe families are also named parking and named generic model. And then finally we also have to filter out the wheel stops, because those are also named parking and generic models. So what we're left with is just the out of this node here, and you'll see that that is the single nested parking spots, it's the accessible parking spots, and so on. Now what that does mean, I'm just realizing now, is that we actually probably needed to filter out those accessible spots as well, depending on if the double spot exists. So we'll look at that in a few minutes, but this will still get the point across. Then what we do is we say we want to count those spots, and we want to give them a number like so, and we want to set it to the mark value. So what we'll do really quick is we'll just run this graph, and you'll see that Dynamo is going to number everything really quick, and it's awesome at that. The issue is the order that they're in here is generally the order that Revit sees them created in. And that gets to be a little tough because of the way the line-based component works. So you'll notice here that apparently I drew this row probably from the right to the left, but you'll also notice that the ones at the end don't necessarily come first. It has to do with, I guess, how we've built the family and how the array works. So the downside is they're not in order. You'll see that most of them kind of are. It goes 32, 33, 34, 35, but then 36 is over here, then 37, 38, 39, 40, and then 41 at the back. You'll see that number 1 is actually somewhere in the middle of this array right here. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it jumps back to 7, and number 0 is over here. I'm not entirely sure why it does that. We could potentially try to order them in terms of what their parent component is, and that is stuff that's all doable in Dynamo. For instance, all of these nested components that are numbered 006, that is aware of what its parent component is. So we could try to sort them by parent component, but they're already kind of grouped that way. So I'm not entirely sure how we would probably have to put in some logic geographically to say start from one side or go to the other side, which is a little bit out of my wheelhouse. I did make a mistake here. This is what I was talking about before, because unfortunately this is reading as a single space because we didn't use a nested space on each side of the accessible family, because we have its parking space count set to 2, so it doesn't matter that it's all done as one family, but if we want to tag them as individual spots, it does matter. So all that said, I'll send you this graph just in case you want to use it kind of for fun. It does number all the spots very quickly, but unfortunately, it's not really going to help you because I don't think it's going to number them in a way that anybody is going to be happy with. So unfortunately, even doing them in the schedule is really not going to do that as well, because we don't know the order that they're in here either. So unfortunately, if somebody really wants to number them and get the numbers done well, that really turns into a hit tag all and then spend an hour clicking into all the tags, which is super annoying. Unless you use a component that will do renumbering based on draw order, and I forget which app does that. It looks like that's droots. We could take a peek and see if that would do it, but I haven't actually tried it before. So I'll give that a whirl, and I'll let you know what I find out.